All right, everybody. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here with our Tuesday evening, just after 9 o'clock here, getting set up for Milton. Now a Cat 5, 165 mile per hour storm. It went down to 145 earlier today, and then went back up. Did some eye wall replacement cycles, and it's trucking again. East northeast at 10 miles per hour is the movement. Pressure's back down to 902. This thing is yeah, I don't want to say it's looking good, but it is looking, meteorologically, it's looking good. Here's the latest track. Now, this track was as of 5 p.m. for the National Hurricane Center, and you can see it headed towards the Tampa and Sarasota area by 2 a.m. late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. But look at the winds there, 165 overnight tonight, so it stays where it's at. But then during the day tomorrow, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the winds are down to 150. And then down to 125 as it makes landfall overnight Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Then that has something to do with their shear that's going to be pushing on this. There's also some dry air that it's running into. I'll show you some of that coming up. But look at this. It goes from a Cat 3 all the way across the state to still a Cat 1. We're talking hurricane force winds from one side of the state across to the other. It's about 130 miles or so. And they'll go from basically almost looks like now Sarasota over towards Cocoa Beach area. And then after that, during the day on Thursday, it's moving out and it's pulling away. So things will slowly start to quiet down for that. So there's a close look at the track of the storm now. You can see this little wobble that was right here. You see how it kind of jogged to the southeast? Well, the forecast from the Hurricane Center was something like this, but because this thing jogged over there, they had to shift it to where it is right now. And as a result of that, the extended forecast went from a landfall in southern Pinellas County, maybe the mouth of Tampa Bay, to now closer to Sarasota. So it shifted south. That was at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So we'll get another track as we get into about 11 o'clock this evening. Now, this is just incredible shot of the visible satellite from earlier today as the sun was going down. You can see right down all the way to the Gulf of Mexico in that eye. Recon's out there. They've been out there. They've got all kinds of recon. We've got P3s and C-130s flying through the center. We've got some Gulfstreams flying around the outside. All of that data is going into the models, plus the ones going into the storm are telling us what exactly is going on in there, the pressure, the center location. That really helps with the forecast. And the ones that are flying around, those Gulfstreams, those really help to get data into the forecast models and have them have a more accurate solution. Now, there's some storms down to the south, and I wanted to point those out because these cells, let me zoom in here. These ones down here southwest of Marco Island are likely producing water spouts, and those are the types that I would see and be very leery of producing a tornado coming on shore. So right now that's down to our south, but as we move through tonight, we're okay here. But notice down towards Fort Myers, of course, and then maybe in the southern Sarasota, we'll have to watch it. I think we're fine through tonight, but technically tomorrow and even after midnight, but I think anywhere from about 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. starting down towards Fort Myers and then moving its way northward throughout the day, we're going to increase that tornado threat. We've seen it with Debbie. We've seen it with Helene. We always, well, we don't always, but we generally see them in that northeast quadrant of storms, and that's what will be moving through the area during the day tomorrow. So, bigger picture. Cold front just about here. It's just to our north. You can see, but it was coming down and then it's stalled. And part of the reason why it's stalled is it's just this time of year, they only go so far to the south and they stop. The other reason is the system's literally pushing back on it. All right. You can see how it was solid here, then it pushes up right there. It's feeling the storm. So that's about as far south as it's going to go. And the question for the models is how much is that going to turn it? We know it's going to turn it east, but when and how much and how soon? And that will determine the forecast tracks. And so you can see, I mean, look, it was good for the Tampa area to see a nudge to the south, but look at all these forecast models. They're not that much to the south, right? So a hit somewhere from the mouth of Tampa Bay to Sarasota is looking pretty likely at this point. Still not 100%, but that's what it's looking like here so far. Now, this is our forecast model tomorrow. In fact, I'll back it up just a little bit. Let's go up to around noon. And you can see all that. That's around 11 in the morning. That's a tornado threat over there over land that you're seeing there. Okay, so we're going to be watching that through the morning hours. Then by 4 o'clock, same thing, but the winds are starting to pick up now out of the south and southeast. We're talking tropical storm force winds close to 4 or 5 p.m. on your Wednesday, which means winds closer to 40. All of these cells you see out here through Highlands, Lake Placid, Polk County, those have the potential to produce tornadoes, and especially these ones that are going to be down here. Guess where? Right over Manatee and Sarasota County, almost exactly like what we saw in Helene and even back into Debbie. Now, this is 5 p.m. You can see the rain's getting heavier. The winds are picking up. And certainly after the sun sets on Wednesday, that's when the winds really start cranking. Generally out of the south and southeast for most of us until that eye gets here. And then we'll just have to wait and see. Our forecast model says that by 11 o'clock, it's almost making landfall right near AMI, Anna Maria Island. That would not be good. The Hurricane Center is out here. So you see the difference here in our model and their forecast, not too far off, but that's a difference, and we're gonna have to figure that out. If the center is more up here, we're gonna get more surge in Tampa Bay. If it's down here towards Sarasota, we'll get less surge. Right now, we're thinking 10 to 15 feet in Tampa Bay, although that could go down if the forecast goes south. So it's just still up in the air right now, and there's no way that we can back off of that number right now because this forecast is not set in stone, and you couldn't back off and tell people they can go back and then have it come back and have some real troubles. All right, so here are the tropical storm force wind arrivals. This line here, you can see right along our coast would be 8 p.m. on Wednesday. So I think it gets there a little bit sooner than that, 4, 5, 6 o'clock or so, start looking for that. But certainly as we get closer to sunset, and those wind impacts will push way inland. In fact, the wind impacts are going to be some of the bigger part of this story. I think we're actually all of it, really, the surge, but certainly wind, because we have not seen a lot of wind in hurricanes lately. And this one's going to get it for us right over land because it's coming on shore. So the purple, 110, 111 mile per hour wind gusts are possible for gusts. I mean, Disney, 90, 100, 110 possible. Less as you work your way over to the East Coast, of course. And, of course, less further north you go and further south you go. All right, I'll leave you with this. This is the latest tropical storm surge forecast, right? 5 to 8 foot for Marco Island. Fort Myers got bumped up from 5 to 10 to 8, 12. 8 to 12 foot. That was at 5 o'clock this evening. They've kept Tampa Bay and Sarasota at 10 to 15 feet. Guys, we had 5 to 8 during Helene. So let's hope that that doesn't verify. If anything, there may be less here. If the forecast track that the Hurricane Center has now, there'll be a little less in the Bay, but there'll be just as much down here from Sarasota, Venice, and Vamo. So again, that's going to fluctuate a little bit, but not a whole lot. So we really need to pay close attention to that forecast. 5 to 10 foot up in the Hudson. That's initially, but then the wind will be blowing the water out. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for joining me. We will be on air at 11 o'clock tonight. And, of course, all day, starting first thing tomorrow morning on 10 Tampa Bay and right here online. Take care and stay safe out there.